Hello everyone. It's Monday morning here, August the 6th. Well, there's a couple other stories up here I want to let you know about. One of them is the grand jury report in Pennsylvania. So let me read a little bit of that to you. Pennsylvania bishops cared more about avoiding scandal than protecting victims. This, according to the Pennsylvania grand jury report, set for release as early as August 8th, which is like Wednesday. Now, this is what's amazing about this story. A court filing made public Friday reveals Bishop Donald Troutman of Erie was one among 24 clergy who filed to block release of the report, considered the most sweeping investigation into clerical sex abuse in American history. The 880-page report offers findings from six dioceses: Erie, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Scranton, Allentown, and Greensburg. Now remember Pittsburgh because there's another story about Pittsburgh and Cardinal Wuerl, who is now the Archbishop of Washington, D.C. All right, so let's see here. Now, this is about Bishop Troutman here. In the court document, Troutman admits that continuing to block release of the report could further injure victims of abuse, and so withdrew his appeal. But only on condition that certain accusations leveled against bishops in the report did not apply to him. All right. So, he's really concerned about the injured victims of abuse. I mean, it's really obvious he's really concerned about himself. And he's saying that I'll withdraw my appeal to block the release of this report if only you don't point your finger at me in these following points. Now I'm going to read these points to you. All of the victims were brushed aside in every part of the state by church leaders who preferred to protect the abusers and their institution above all. The second point: the main thing was not to help children, but to avoid scandal. The third: priests were raping little boys and girls, and the men of God who were responsible for them not only did nothing, they hid it all. Next point: diocesan administrators, including the bishops, but not Troutman. Okay, now he doesn't, you know, he's going to do what I explained to you. He'll withdraw his appeal if, as long as these points aren't pointed to him. I mean, how could someone do something like this is beyond me. Anyway, here, let's continue. Diocesan administrators, including the bishops, had acknowledged had knowledge of this conduct, and yet priests were regularly placed in ministry after the diocese was on notice that a complaint of child sexual abuse had been made. The conduct enabled offenders and endangered the welfare of children. And the last point: several diocesan administrators, including the bishops, but not Troutman, okay, often dissuaded victims from reporting abuse to police, pressured law enforcement to terminate or avoid an investigation, or conducted their own deficient, bias based investigation without reporting crimes against children to the proper authorities. Well, I just find this absolutely amazing, that someone would publicly um, file a document in court where he makes this request. His it's really obvious that he's only concerned about himself. Which, if he's concerned about himself, he must have something to hide, I would think. But, anyway, so maybe this will come out. There's a lot more to this article here. You could read more about it. So now remember that Pittsburgh was or is one of the dioceses in Pennsylvania that is named in this grand jury report. All right, so now we're going to go over to, all right, here we're going to talk about this article here. Um, Now, I think I mentioned this on Friday, but I'm not sure, but I'm going to mention it again now regardless. Now, this has to do with Cardinal Wuerl, who for 2 decades was the Archbishop of Pittsburgh. And Christine Niles of Church Militant wrote this piece. Um, it says, will Cardinal Wuerl be the next one to fall? So Wuerl was Bishop of Pittsburgh for nearly 2 decades, from 1988 to 2006, one of the six dioceses investigated in the grand jury report. As many as 300 predator priests from all six dioceses are named, but Pittsburgh stands out for supplying the largest share, nearly one-third of the total number. All right, so anyway, he is. There's some talk here. I'm pretty sure I mentioned all this, but I'll just do this quickly. Um, Somewhere in the article, it mentions that there was questions about whether, um, at the time, Archbishop Wuerl was, covering up sex abuse. All right, so so that's that. Now we're going to go to an article that was just posted this morning in the Catholic Herald. Now, Cardinal Wuerl, who is now Cardinal of and the Archbishop of Washington D.C. All right. So Cardinal Wuerl proposes panel to investigate rumors against bishops. All right. So this is his suggestion on how to clean up this mess: is to set up a panel. Now listen to this here. The panel would consist of fellow bishops. Yikes! It's like, and report its findings to Rome, the cardinal suggested. All right. The U.S. Bishops' Conference should consider setting up a panel to investigate rumors against fellow bishops. I mean, what can you say about this? This is the police, investigating the police. You got to set up a panel, I would think, or a commission or something. It really has to be independent, and the members of it have to be, beyond any kind of question at all, as far as having an interest in, what's uncovered. So I don't know. To me, all this is just smoke and mirrors. I mean, he, not only him, but some other, I mean, like I told you before, I can't post everything. I spend a lot of time on the channel, but I have other responsibilities, and I spend a good deal of time praying. So those things are important also. And I really think that I just have a sense that a lot of you are starting to get to the point where, it's like, yeah, yikes, I don't want to hear about this anymore. Um, or at least not every little specific thing that happens. But anyway, um, what's going to happen here? I don't know. I'm trying to. That's why I'm combining articles here, just to make one little video with here, so to give you an idea of like how things are headed. Um, but there are other articles, other bishops speaking up, um, and it's just all smoke and mirrors. Um, they're really the only substantial things that are coming forward are from um, outside of the clergy, the laity, whether it be from theologians or um, respected Catholics in the media. I mean, they have some good suggestions. The kind of stuff that's coming from within the clergy is just all smoke and mirrors, and it's just public relations stuff. Is all this is. So I'll leave these few links in the description box if you're interested in reading more about this. I mean, I really shouldn't be, you know, laughing about any of this, but there comes a point where it's just like, yikes. And it's just all so terrible, sometimes. Um, People will like joke and laugh at a funeral, and it's really just the stress and the anxiety of loss, or something very traumatic happening. People have. So I mean, obviously, I don't think any of this is funny. So please excuse my how I sort of make light of all this. Although what are you going to do when when the clergy wants to investigate themselves, I mean, what do they think we are, stupid? I mean, they must really think we're stupid. Um, it's just outrageous. I mean, this just you know, gets people more riled up, to think that we're being treated in such a way, that they could just, snowball us um, into thinking like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. Well, okay, that's all I've said enough for right now here, and we'll talk to you next time.